Imagine waking up in the middle of Christmas night. The air is freezing. Smoke fills your lungs, and your house is engulfed in roaring flames. It's 1:30 a.m., Christmas Eve, 1945. Fayetteville, West Virginia. George and Jennie Sodder managed to escape the burning house with 4 of their children, but 5 of them, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jennie, and Betty, are trapped upstairs. Or so everyone thought. When the fire dies down, something terrifying happens. No remains are found. No bones, no teeth, nothing. 5 children vanished into thin air. For 40 years, a massive billboard stood along Route 16, 5 faces staring at passing drivers, asking one agonizing question: what really happened to the Sodder children?
To understand this story, we have to look at who George Sodder was. George came to America from Italy as a teenager. He worked hard. He built a successful hauling business in West Virginia. He built a big home for his wife Jennie and their 9 children. They were respected. They were comfortable. But George had a dangerous habit. He spoke his mind, and he strongly disliked Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. In a small town with a large Italian immigrant population, George's outspoken views ruffled feathers, dangerous feathers. A few months before the fire, a stranger showed up at the house asking for work. He walked to the back, pointed at the fuse box, and made a cryptic prediction. This is going to cause a fire someday. George called an electrician. The house had just been rewired and inspected by the power company. It was completely safe. Then came another visitor, an insurance salesman. When George refused to buy the policy, the salesman flew into a rage. He pointed at the house and snapped, "Your damn house is going up in smoke, and your children are going to be destroyed." Why? Because of the dirty remarks you've been making about Mussolini. George brushed it off as a hot-headed threat. He shouldn't have. If someone threatened your family like that in your own home, what would you have done? Would you have called the cops or written it off as cheap talk? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now.
It's Christmas Eve, 1945. The kids open their presents. At 10 p.m., Jennie goes upstairs to sleep with the younger kids. The older boys are asleep in their room. 5 children, Maurice, 14, Martha, 12, Louis, 9, Jennie, 8, and Betty, 5, stay up late in the living room. At 12:30 a.m., the telephone rings. Jennie wakes up and answers it. A woman's voice asks for a name Jennie doesn't know. In the background, Jennie hears clinking glasses and strange laughter. Jennie says you have the wrong number and hangs up. She notices the lights are still on. The curtains are drawn. The front door is unlocked. She turns off the lights, locks up, and goes back to bed. 1 a.m. A loud thud hits the roof with a thumping sound, then something rolls down the shingles. Jennie dozes back off. 1:30 a.m. Jennie wakes up, coughing. The room is heavy with thick, choking smoke. The upstairs hallway is already a wall of fire. Jennie and George scramble out with 4 children, Marion, Sylvia, John, and George Jr. The other 5 children are upstairs. The wooden staircase is engulfed in flames. George sprints outside to get his heavy ladder to reach the second-floor window. The ladder is missing. It's nowhere to be found. He runs to his 2 trucks to drive them up against the house and climb on top. Both trucks, which were running perfectly hours before, refuse to start. He tries to draw water from the rain barrel. It's frozen solid. He tries to call the fire department. The phone line is dead. Within 45 minutes, the Sodder house collapses into a mound of ash.
The fire department doesn't arrive until 8 a.m., 6.5 hours after the fire started. Why? Fire Chief Ferd Maurice claimed the department had a driver shortage and didn't know how to operate the truck, even though the station was only 2.5 miles away. Chief Maurice conducts a brief search of the ashes. His conclusion? The 5 children died in the fire and their bodies were cremated by the heat. A death certificate is issued. Case closed. Except that's scientifically impossible. A standard wood frame house fire reaches 1,000 to 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit. Human bones require at least 1,800 to 2,000 degrees for 2 straight hours to burn away completely. And even then, organ tissue and skull fragments remain. This fire burned for less than 45 minutes before collapsing, yet not a single fragment of bone, tooth, or clothing was found in the debris. Jennie Sodder couldn't accept it. She spoke to a local crematorium director who confirmed bones remain even after cremation. Jennie took beef and chicken bones, threw them into a roaring furnace, and watched. The bones remained intact. She knew right then and there, her children did not die in that fire. How can 5 human bodies vanish without leaving a single bone or tooth fragment in a 45-minute fire?
The family started digging for truth, and what they found was chilling. Remember the phone line that was dead during the fire? A telephone repairman inspected it the next morning. The line wasn't burned. It had been cut high up on the telephone pole. Remember the missing ladder? Days later, it was found hidden at the bottom of a nearby embankment. And what about the trucks that wouldn't start? An auto mechanic checked them later. Someone had deliberately tampered with the ignitions. Then the sightings started coming in. A woman at a local diner reported seeing 4 of the 5 children eating breakfast on Christmas morning just hours after the fire. She said they arrived in a car with Florida license plates, accompanied by 2 women and a man speaking Italian. When she tried to talk to them, the man glared at her and snapped at the children in Italian to stop talking. Another witness in a Charleston hotel claimed she saw the children checked in with 2 men and 2 women. When she tried to be friendly, one of the men spoke harshly in Italian and turned away. The Sodder family hired private detectives. They contacted the FBI. J. Edgar Hoover initially offered to help, but the local police department blocked the FBI from stepping in. Why were local authorities so eager to sweep this under the rug?
Years turned into decades. George and Jennie refused to give up. They converted the fire site into a memorial garden. They offered a $10,000 reward, a fortune at the time. Then, in 1968, 23 years after the fire, a letter arrived. The envelope was addressed to Jennie Sodder, postmarked from Central City, Kentucky. No return address. Inside was a single photograph of a young man in his late 20s with dark, piercing eyes. He bore a striking resemblance to Louis Sodder, who would have been 32 years old in 1968. On the back, someone had typed a mysterious encrypted message. Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie. Isle Boys. A90132 or 35. The family sent a private investigator to Kentucky to trace the origin of the letter. The investigator left and was never heard from again. He vanished. The Sodder family updated the billboard with the new photograph of adult Louis. They waited by the phone every day. No one ever called.
If you drove down U.S. Route 116 near Fayetteville anytime between 1952 and 1989, you couldn't miss it. A massive wooden billboard with bold red lettering, 5 faces staring back at you, a $10,000 reward offered for information leading to their discovery. It became a landmark of American mystery. George Sodder died in 1969, never knowing what happened to his 5 children. Jennie wore black for the rest of her life, in perpetual mourning. She spent her days tending the memorial garden where her house once stood. When Jennie passed away in 1989 at the age of 84, the billboard was finally taken down. The youngest child, Sylvia Sodder, was only 2 years old on the night of the fire. She dedicated her entire life to keeping the investigation alive until her death in 2021. She maintained until her final breath that her brothers and sisters did not die in that fire. They were taken.
Was it revenge by the Italian mafia for George's anti-fascist statements? Was it a child trafficking ring operating in the post-WW2 era? Or was it an unthinkable tragedy hidden behind a wall of small-town corruption? We may never have the definitive answers. 80 years have passed. The house is gone. The billboard is down. The parents and siblings have passed away. But the ghost of Christmas Eve 1945 still haunts the hills of West Virginia. 5 children who went to sleep on Christmas Eve disappeared into history. Which theory makes the most sense to you? Mafia revenge, black market adoption, or small-town cover-up? Subscribe and let me know your verdict in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive into true crime history, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. Up next, check out our video on another mind-bending, unsolved disappearance. Until next time, keep searching for the truth.